In this first unit, I'm going to ask you to create a simple ER diagram. You could make that ER diagram using pencil and paper if you wanted to, and take a photograph of it with your cell phone and upload it to Blackboard for your assignment submission. You could just put it in a Word document, right? Take a picture and import the Word document. But if you want to do this with a drawing tool, there's a free one online that you can use called DrawIO. So I just want to show you real quick how to use this if you've never used it before. This comes in handy for lots of different tasks and other courses. You could use something like this. So let's get it started. So basically you just go to draw.io. Oops, you have to spell it right though. There we go, draw.io. And you don't have to link this with your school account, but if you do, it'll use Google Drive to store everything that you do on the website. So they won't store anything or save anything for you. So that means you have to make sure that you download everything when you're finished working on it. But if you use Google Drive, it'll automatically save everything that you do. And if you do remember this setting every time you go to the page, it'll automatically put you in your Google Drive. I'm going to uncheck that just in case I want to change it later. So I'm going to click on Google Drive, and you have to authorize the account. I'm going to uncheck Remember Me so that I can do this again later if I need to. But I'm going to click on Authorize. And like I said, if you want to use your Atlantic Cape Community College account, as long as you're logged in to your Atlantic Cape email, to the Buccaneer email, it'll automatically bring you right to this page. If you're not already logged into your email with Gmail, then it'll ask you to put those credentials in. So it'll ask you to type in your full username and password, which will be the Buccaneer email account with Google, and then it'll let you in. So that's it. So once you're in here, you can create a new diagram. If you hit Open Existing Diagram, it'll show you all of the other ones that you've saved in your Google Drive. And if you haven't yet created one, of course you won't see any yet. But we're going to click on Create New Diagram, and we're going to do an ER diagram. So I believe in this list, let's see here, probably a good one is going to be UML. UML should have the tools we need to create a ER diagram, although you can pretty much access any of the tools regardless of which one of these you pick. So then I'm going to click on Create. I have to pick a place to save it in my Google Drive. So I'm going to go into my Google Drive. I don't think I have anything in my Google Drive, so I'll create a new folder and I'll call it Database Class. If you don't have any folders like me, it'll just prompt you to use the root folder when you cancel out. So I'm just going to click OK to use the root folder. And it'll just call it, I didn't change the name, so mine's going to be called Untitled Diagram. All right, so once we're in here, if you scroll down, so as you scroll through this long list of stuff, the one you want is Entity Relation. This has the tools to create ER diagrams. So these are all the symbols that we talk about in the lecture that you'll see in the lecture video and also in the textbook. So you're simply going to click on drag out one of these little boxes. You'll put your table name up here at the top, and then you'll put your row names here. If you want to add an additional row, you just come over here and you drag row in, and it'll put a new row in. If you want to make it so that it's a primary key, you can drag the primary key. There we go. So now it has the primary key. And then if you wanted to, you could do your rows like this so it looks a little nicer. Actually, that's probably not the best example. Let's do a different one. There we go. So you have these various tools in here. By the way, there's another style here, so you could use this style if you like it better. It doesn't really matter. But once you put your tables on here, by the way, I'm going to get rid of this row. Let's see. All right, so, and we don't need this row either, so I'm going to delete that row, and I just right-clicked on it to delete it. All right, so I can go through and I can start editing these if I want to. And once you have your tables on the screen, you can go down here and click your relationships. So these are the relationships that you'll see in the textbook. They have the same name. So for example, 0 to many optional. And you can just click and drag the ends, and it'll create that relationship. And you'll notice that it has the right symbols on the line. Here's another example. This is a 1-to-1. So here we have a one-to-one relationship. Of course, you want to try to make it look nice, right? So that's basically all you do. I find that most students, if they've never done this before, it's easier to draw this out on paper first, and then take what you've done on paper and transcribe it into this tool online to make your diagram. One other way that you can make these diagrams, I've had some students use PowerPoint to make the diagrams. You can do that as well. So if you have PowerPoint, it has all the drawing tools you'll need, but you'll have to create these symbols by hand. They won't already be canned in the, they won't already be packaged with the software. So you'll have to kind of make these up as you go. You can certainly do it though. I've done it before, and you'll see in my PowerPoints that that I make these symbols in PowerPoint, and they look okay. And of course, one other tool that you could consider is Microsoft Visio. Visio is expensive. You have to buy it. It's part of the Microsoft Office suite, but it doesn't typically come with Microsoft Office. But they do have tools that you can use for drawing diagrams. I may put a video I have of using Microsoft Visio to create ER diagrams. I'll add that into Blackboard as well in case you want to take a look at that. It's much more complicated than using this, but it's a lot more powerful as well, so you may find that useful. So I'll put that in there as well. Once you're done creating your diagram, so I like to give my diagrams a name. I'm just going to call this demo. So make sure you have a name so that when you look in your Google Drive, if you're saving this in Google Drive, you'll see the name. Now here's the thing: you won't be able to turn this into me the way it is right now in Draw.io. And I've had some students try to share the Draw.io files with me in Google through their Atlantic email, but it doesn't always work. Seems to always cause problems. So your best bet to turn these in, and this is probably good to do anyway, is you go in here and you export it as a JPEG. So if you export this as a JPEG, and you could also do a PDF if you want, but a JPEG is good because you can embed that in a Word document. So if you have some narrative or some, maybe you're writing a couple paragraphs about what you did or an explanation or something like that, or maybe you have 4 or 5 different diagrams that you want to turn in for your assignment. Instead of turning in 4 or 5 different files, they can all be one big Word document that has all the files so I can see it all in one place, which certainly makes it a lot easier for me, which is good for everyone, right? So you just click on JPEG, and I'm going to click on Export, and then I can export it to either Google Drive and download it from there. So that's certainly one option, and you can also just download it right to your computer. So if I click on this button right here that says download, so if I click on Google Drive, it'll save it in Google Drive, but if I click download, it'll download the file. And now I can open that file. So let me go ahead and open that. And it's just going to open up in my JPEG viewer on my computer. So there's my little file. And again, it's just a JPEG that I downloaded. And that's it. So that's how you create ER diagrams using Draw.io.